Welcome to Calming Harp, the sounds of David's Psalms. I'm glad you've joined us for this brief moment we share together. I will be playing some of the music that has been brought out of the Psalms. My name is Steve Reese. I play the harp, and over the last several years I've been bringing the sounds of David's Psalms into recordings. You can find a lot of my music on my website, www.calmingharp.com. I have CDs available and MP3s. And you can go to YouTube. If you go to YouTube and then type in Peregrinati, Peregrinnatti, you will find hours of beautiful harp music that you can just play in the background and be calmed with the music that David may have played for his sheep at one time or another. So as we share this half hour, join me and enjoy the sounds of David's harp. Well, thank you for joining me for my second episode, and I welcome you to my studio. Anyway, I just wanted to start out by telling you a story. A lot of people give me stories of what this music has done for them, and one of the things that I've always been amazed is some of the stories of healing that that are told to me. So at one time, very early on, when I had just recorded one CD, my Healing Harp CD, I had a letter that came in the mail one day, and it had a check inside and a letter that came along with it. And the woman wrote that she was giving me the money because a friend of hers had my CD and had made a copy, and she wanted to make sure that I received the money that should be mine for having recorded it. So I thought that was kind of nice. I really didn't mind that a copy was made. But she then went on to tell me the story of what the music of the CD had done in her husband's life. He had had a severe heart attack. 911 had been called. He'd been taken to the emergency room. And while they were getting ready to move him up to the critical care unit, the doctor came to the wife and he said, "I just want you to be prepared. He's had a very serious heart attack. The enzymes are very high, and I do want you to be prepared that he may not make it through the night." So after the doctor left, and she went up to the CCU, and they had got all the monitors hooked up and the IV drips and everything. She asked the nurse if it would be possible she could bring in a small little portable CD player and earphones and play music to her husband through the night. And the nurse said, "Well, as long as it's earphones and he doesn't bother the other patients, that's fine." So she brought my CD, the Healing Harp, and put it on the player and the earphones on his ears, and through the night the music played. In the morning, when the doctor arrived, he picked up the chart, looked up at the monitor, looked down at the numbers on the chart, looked up at the monitor, looked down at the chart, looked up at the monitor, and he looked over to the nurse. He said, "What have you done?" And she said, what do you mean? What have I done? I just followed your orders. And he said, well, this is a whole different patient than came in last night. He's doing very well. The numbers are unbelievable that they've changed that fast. And the nurse said, well, it is what it is. You know, doctors don't like to use the miracle word. But anyway, the woman finished off by saying, I don't know how to thank you, but the music on that CD, I believe, saved my husband's life. Now, I don't put a label on my CDs that says, if you will listen to this music, you will be healed. I don't make that claim, because what I see with healing, there's a major factor of it is our faith. Another factor is our Heavenly Father's will in our lives. And another factor I do believe 528 music does have an effect that's physiologically positive in our lives. And I've done a lot of research on that. And just for you who are musicians, when I say 528 music, what I mean is, instead of using 440 as the A note calibration, which most orchestras use, you bump that up to 444. And when you go 2 notes up to the C note, instead of being 523, it's 528 hertz. And if you go to my YouTube channel, I have a whole teaching called Music Frequencies that goes through why I believe the 528 is so important. And somewhere along the line, we'll probably cover some of that. I don't want to get into that today because I have other things I want to talk about. But that, to me, is a fruit on the tree of this topic of the healing qualities of this calming music, or the Psalms of David, the calming harp. So I wanted to start out with this song. One of the songs that I've really enjoyed doing is Psalm 91. And after I play it for you, I'll give you a couple little comments on what was going in my mind and through my fingers on the harp while I was playing it, how I wanted to interpret it. So right now, let's go to that music and enjoy. So that's Psalm 91. A lot of people will ask me, well, how do you determine the timing, or the loud or soft or slow or fast? There's no marks in the chord progressions that say that. So what I tell them and what I'll tell you is that I like to read the words of the psalm, and then I try to think about what those words would sound like musically. Now, that may sound a little abstract, but just for instance, Psalm 91 is talking about dwelling in the secret place of the Most High. To me, that's suggesting intimacy, quietness, closeness. And so to me, that sounds like that should be a 3/4 timing, like a waltz. Dot, 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 like that. So that's the way I place that psalm, as a waltz, playing it kind of slowly, reflectively. That kind of how I worked it. So sometime I may even think about singing you the words to it. Today I don't have enough time to do that, but I have put the words to that one as well. The next song I would like to do with you is Psalm 51. And Psalm 51 it's another reflective psalm, because this is David speaking about create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew your spirit within me, and don't take your Holy Spirit from me, but then I will teach transgressors your ways. And so David has just had this incredible sin with Bathsheba. And not only that, but he, because of that, tries to cover it up. So he has Uriah killed. And then the prophet comes to him and tells him a story about a poor man that only had one lamb, and this king that came and took the lamb instead of taking out of his own flock, or this rich man. And David says, well, who is he? He must pay. And the prophet said, well, David, you're the man. And the beautiful thing about David is that he doesn't try to dodge. He immediately owns it. And I believe that's why later on God would call him a man after his own heart. But there's an interesting word that's used in that phrasing there. It's the word where he says, create in me a clean heart. The word there is bara, the Hebrew word. And that is the exact same word that is used in Genesis 1:1 when it says, in the beginning, Yahweh, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, bara, the Shamayim haaretz, the heavens and the earth. And so we see from this that David is asking, he knows that he's messed up. He knows he's beyond help. He knows that the only way out of it for him is to have his heart, the same power that went into creating the earth, would come and create, bara, in him a clean heart. So with those thoughts in mind, listen to this music, how it might have sounded when David played it. Well, thank you for joining me on this half hour of sharing the Psalms of David. I hope that you've enjoyed the selections that I have brought to you today. Remember, if you want to hear more, you can always go to my YouTube site, and that is youtube.com, and then type in Peregrinati, Peregrinnatti, or you can go to my website, www.calmingharp.com, CALMINGHARP.com. Either one of those has a lot of music up there. A lot of my albums I've gone ahead and recorded onto YouTube with video or still photography backgrounds, so you can just kind of put it up on your TV and just let it play in the background as ambient music is what they're calling it nowadays. So I encourage you to do that as well. And next week I have a couple more stories I'd like to share with you. I never cease to be amazed by the comments that I get, and I don't say this as a boast of what Steve is doing here. I say this as a boast of what God is doing. When my son encouraged me to put up a website and to go on to YouTube, he said, "Dad, there's a lot of people around the world that need to hear this music, and it's important for you to let them hear that. And the only way you're going to get it out there is if you put it on the web." And so I'm thankful to my son for helping me learn and encourage me to just go ahead and make the leap and do it. I'm also thankful that Roland invited me to begin this radio program, because I think it's another way to share out there with many of you, especially during these times that we're in, a way of having some calming music, calming our hearts, our mind, and our souls. So I just thank you for joining me for this hour, this half hour, and look forward to the time we get to spend with each other next week as we come together for the Calming Harp. So I hope you've enjoyed our time together. Stay tuned, as I say. Little pun. I have many more songs to share with you. I have more to share about how this all comes together. And I pray that you will share and help people, especially those you see stressed, especially in these times that we're going through. Bring people to this calming and this peace and this rest that this beautiful music of the Psalms of David brings to each of our lives. Thank you for listening. Hope to see you next week. Many, many blessings to you all today.